Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. Welcome, guys. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. And we'll be talking about that more in a second if you are unfamiliar with the term. But I'm Tommy. You guys also know me as Snorlax. I'm joined by Max. Louis Tuesday. Always got to say that on Tuesday. And of course, unbothered Chef Jackus. Welcome, guys. Hope you have all had a great start to your week. I know yesterday the like button was a little bit down because coin prices were red. Well, coin prices are green today. So if you guys could do us a solid and smash that like button for us, we're going to do our best to cook you up a delicious meal, some delicious alpha today. I mean, after all, like I said, it is Tuesday. What do I mean when I say that? Well, yesterday was pretty red. Yesterday is pretty green. This is kind of a dynamic that we see from markets. This is the TradFi effect that we often see, playing a role within crypto. You get a big move on Monday, it reverts on Tuesday. You get a true tell of what the week's directionality looks like here after Tuesday. So we did see some serious reversion overnight. Obviously, I think we had some data this morning, PPI, CPI tomorrow. But I'm going to keep going back to, I think the only date and catalyst that really matter for markets right now is the inauguration date, right? January 20th. And it's probably not going to be just a V reversal or like these risk proxies that have been posing problems for markets, right? Yields, bonds, the dollar, everybody's favorite thing to talk about. But we are going to see those ships turn from headwinds into tailwinds around January 20th. Obviously, it might take a few weeks before we see that meaningfully impact markets, but that slow burn will likely inevitably lead to a great victory. But yeah, just on a lower time frame today to commentate on today's prices, obviously we are seeing some big green within the market. I know the S&P is it's still not quite green. It's an important period, I think, for equities, but as a whole, the S&P doesn't look that bad. Volatility is trying to come down. I think that's one of the things that we'll maybe watch here over the next few weeks. But of course, the coin prices have responded very positively, specifically Bitcoin, looking at some meme coins and obviously some previous market sector leaders as well, something like a Hyperliquid, a Pepe, kind of leading their respective sectors at the moment. But that's not to say that there hasn't been a lot of stuff going on chain, and I will continue to talk about this despite the fact that we have these huge swings every other day in price for coins that are mostly correlated to exchanges. And obviously the coins that trade there on chain, there continue to be some plays that just look like they're twopped up in a straight line. Right? Something like an Anon AI. I'm sure that you could point to some other AI agents as well. I'm not quite as familiar with the meta, but I do see on Deck Screener, there are always things that seem to be trending. So it's really kind of about, I think, picking your spots, right? As long as you're not overextending yourself in the wrong place. For example, maybe longing, expecting a breakout from the weekend or yesterday, shorting the low, expecting a breakdown. They're just really kind of trapping and punishing over exuberance at the moment, at least as far as on major coins go. But I do think we'll have a bit more of clarity as far as what the market directionality looks like whenever equities kind of resolve this little downtrend that they're doing. And I do think that it could be here, right? It's either probably going to be from here or you see volatility to continue to outperform and probably move higher, or rather equities move higher in like 2 weeks. But really just all eyes on January 20th, guys. I think really it's a whole bunch of yap until we see the inauguration, we see the positive impacts that are coming for some of these headwinds currently before they turn into tailwinds. But I'd love to know what you guys are thinking. Obviously, a lot of reversion today. We have made back the dip that we had yesterday, but obviously retesting some levels of supply. I made this joke a week ago. I'm going to make it again. Is it a bullish retest of overhead supply, gentlemen?
I mean, I sure hope so. I mean, look, here's looking at the current range. I mean, we're locally stuck at this point of control here, which shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. But I think it's a really constructive looking chart, right? That trap that we had yesterday was pretty damn unreal. We had some big sell volume, finally took out this low, the wick from early December right into high time frame demand. And we saw a pretty immediate reaction. And now we have a shift of structure to the upside being right here, right? So we were, in a downtrend, at least from here, right? And now we're potentially going to be in some sort of uptrend, right? So maybe we could get a pullback. Maybe this is it and we just kind of rock it up. You know what I mean? But I would say it's at least looking, it's looking exactly how you would need it to look if the bottom was in. But the question is, do we get the follow through, right? Do we get the follow through here? But I do like the setup so far. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think it looks how it should look if we're going to pump off of here.
I absolutely love that buyback that we saw from BTC. What's going on? Is the mic
Your voice,
again?
yeah.
Is it again? Oh my god. Let's have some fun.
Jackets.
Let's have some fun, guys. Let's do this. All right, let me I'll have people have
we
some
have simple
fun.
jackets. Simple jackets is
And then I will reconnect. Get my fake voice back. All right, one sec.
Honeybee shrunk Jackus.
Yeah, we're gonna see if we can get Jackus back here, guys. Give him a second. All right. That sounds better. That sounds much better. Yeah.
Let's go. I found out that it always happens because I have wireless headset, but my mic is not connected, or like my mic is connected directly to the PC. So when I move away with my wireless headset, then it sort of happens. Not sure why, but it is what it is. Anyways, so to the market, absolutely loving the buyback so far. Because as we said, right, this crypto pullback, this crypto drop isn't crypto related. It was more like a broader risk on problem that was going on with the bonds. And truth be told, I do not think that problem is gone, because we still haven't seen we saw DXY drop a little, which is a good sign. It's always a better sign to see that, but it's really minor. And we haven't seen, as far as I'm looking right now, we are not seeing the yields to drop off just yet, which I think, that was still the major problem that is causing the risk to sort of sell off. And until that is there, I think the risk still prevails. But as I said, as we said yesterday, this drop wasn't due to crypto stuff. So I think that's the reason why we saw that strong buyback. But we still kind of do need to see the levels holding, right? And I think that lots of this daily VIG candle that we've created yesterday, especially on BTC, I think lots of it will be felt on the upcoming days. So I think we will probably see like 92, 91K being revisited. If not, then the better. But I just find it very hard to believe that this week wouldn't get retraded to, as it usually does. So that's something to keep in mind. But as always, right? I like what we've been banging on yesterday during the hardest day is that it's just been 13 days to the year, right? Just 13 days in January. I still think that the upcoming administration that's coming in is the most bullish conditions for crypto in history. And that is not going to change. It's not a local sell the news event. That's an ongoing thing for the next 4 years at minimum. and that is something that people need to count on. And so, yeah, with that said, I still think 2025 will be a lot bullish, but locally, obviously, there are still some risks that can postpone it to some degree. So people should keep that in mind.
Yeah, we need to hold some ground here. That'd be very good.
I think Bitcoin looks a lot better than most altcoins here, just off that bounce.
That's the common theme, isn't it? Like
It is.
BTC always looks, and that's, by the way, what's so confusing, right? You speak of bull market, and then there will be people, and they will be like, "But we've already had a bull market," and then you'll have people, and they will look at alts, and they'll be like, "We had no bull market," and both will be right. So BTC had a bull market. I think it still does, and it still will. But it is true that alts, if you look at ETH, that's not really a bull market so far. So BTC is still stealing the show, still looking way better, and ETH has still work to do. To be honest, it still needs to reclaim that yearly open. Otherwise, this is just a liquidation bounce, pretty much. So we'll see what's that.
The only high cap altcoin that's looking better than Bitcoin right now locally is XRP.
Casper.
Louis, it's forbidden to talk about XRP. Trust me. We've been telling people when it was trading in cents, it's not allowed. You're not allowed. You prefer not to speak. If you speak, you're in big trouble.
I will say it's funny how, like, I feel like XRP is kind of the perfect example of how narratives can progress over time, because at the bottom everybody was like, why the hell would I ever buy XRP? Most cucked asset in crypto, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we all knew I'm not going to delve into fundamentals. I feel a certain type of way about fundamentals in crypto, but I will say the part that I find interesting is that I've seen commentary about how XRP is now a popular pick because of AI related reasons. And I'm just like, well,
what?
I don't believe that's the case. From somebody who's really smart. Let me say, like, he's not the type of person who's just going to throw an AI label on something and, it's going to pump because of that. But I thought it's just like very indicative of an uptrend or like quick reversal, and not just price, but also emotion. When you have this coin that goes from, I have no clue why I would ever buy it, to all of a sudden, it's a total winner for the AI narrative. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, that's probably not true, but it's just a great example of how the narrative can shift with price. People will literally just add on narratives to it to explain why price is going higher, rather than just, price was going to go higher because it was in the charts.
Do you know why it's popular now to talk about XRP? Because price has gone up. That's the number one reason. The second one is because, the CEO is meeting with Trump personally. And the third one is because Gary Gensler is getting fired. Or, well, he resigned, but we all know how, the reality. And the fourth is that the SEC case will likely close. It still hasn't, by the way, although, lots of decisions have been made, but SEC appealed. It's not really over still. And new administration will be established into the SEC, which will likely lead to the case being closed, which will lead to, for alts, which is something I've always discussed, that even people who do not care about it and are not in it, they should still cheer for it, because if Ripple wins the case in lots of and it's not always like a 100% win or lose, because there are certain segments, where Ripple won, where Ripple is losing on some grounds. But all of these will be used as a precedence into the future for any alts that come. So it's always important that Ripple wins regardless, because all these other alts it's bullish for them inevitably. And this is yet to come, by the way. This is yet to come, guys.
No, the SEC still fighting XRP reminds me of that meme that I've been seeing go around for like the last 3 or 4 months. It's the Japanese fighters that were still fighting on the islands like 20 years after the war ended.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I think BNB is still looking very, very good, Tommy. Maybe even a touch upon that.
Yeah, let me it's loading for me. It's taking a minute, but I just want to see it continue doing what it's been doing.
This looks like crime to me.
This is like the classic Solana micro cap, like slow crawl up before a massive pump.
It looks like it's
my only
boiling.
question for BNB is, you know, if they do pump it, what are they gonna what are they gonna collateralize, or rather, what are they gonna long with their new collateral being increased, right? I look across the board at altcoin charts. A lot of them are just, they're foobar, man. But there are some obviously some meme coins on Binance that probably recover. I haven't quite looked at some of these in a minute. I know NMT looked pretty good. Could it be Binance season soon? Potentially. What is the CZ SAM index look like right now?
CZ SAM index. You mean BNB versus Sol?
I mean,
It's bottomed.
That definitely looks bottomed. I don't think it's going to make a new high, but it should give a nice little rip into that FVG that it formed on the way down, or a bunch of them on the way down. But
I gotta be honest, guys, I'm still not liking the way ETH is looking. I like, as much as this bounce was nice, I still say that, and I think we will get it, right? The question is when. Again, it's just we are halfway. We are not even halfway through the first month, and Trump is yet to set in the office. But locally, we just had a bounce, but we still haven't reclaimed the yearly open yet. It's more. Give me more. Show me the strength finally. Stop being this little piece of shit asset that perpetually underperforms.
I need to see a little bit more strength out of it as well. Maybe that strength comes through time, which could happen as well. But I need to see a little bit more strength from ETH than just, like you said, Jack, it's a liquidation bounce from was objectively very oversold lower time frame conditions yesterday.
That's true. I still think it comes. I still think the yearly open comes, but as I said, this drop that we had in crypto, that wasn't crypto related. It was bond related in all risk on markets pretty much, and they still haven't sold off. We are still not seeing the XY sell off. We are still not seeing the yield sell off, and that still needs to come. I'm just having really a hard time. And I think the assets, well, not so much ETH, let's be honest, but like Sol, BNB, XRP, Cardano, we touched upon these, all holding really well, all things considered. But yeah, I'm just having a hard time how they are going to go up if the XY were to continue rallying here.
Do you think DXY looks bullish here?
I wouldn't even say that it looks bullish, right? It's not like a place where I've like solely looking at a chart where I would be longing. If anything, I would be shorting here, and it's at a level that I said it must be rejecting from. But and today is pretty decent. Well, it's a start, right?
Yeah,
it's a start,
it's a
but
start.
it doesn't really change anything so much. We do need to see the XY back below 108 and that's still a long way. And in between, this can just, kind of keep going higher, just like we saw in 2022. Not saying it goes like for an entire year, but for some time it can still keep going like this. So
I think tomorrow is a probably a key inflection point for the dollar.
indeed.
So I think tomorrow is going to be super volatile. Probably in both directions. I feel like you see the dollar usually go one way and then shoot back the other way. So we could even see one more pop to the upside. Who knows? But we are starting to see, like, I've been watching it super closely in a lower time frame, and I am starting to see some rollover, right? Some good signs. So either just it tanks tomorrow, or maybe you get one more blow off to the upside, and then that gets obviously sold off and heads the other direction. But I think it's definitely coming close. I'm starting to see some positive signs for downside.
Do you guys think we see that crime from CZ where he called for, oh my God, Bitcoin crashes from 100K to 85 tweet that was made 3 years ago? Do you think that's going to happen?
I mean, I think it may
Is
have
it a
already happened.
self-fulfilling prophecy, guys? Is it a self-fulfilling prophecy?
I think it happened. I mean, we went to 108 instead of 105. And we went to 89 instead of 85.
He switched the numbers.
He was close.
I
right?
don't want to see mid 80s hit.
No.
Me neither.
Tommy, you had a
Well,
very,
from beyond just that standpoint, I think it would be it'd probably go a lot deeper if you're trading in the mid 80s, because at that point, I think it's a little bit more than a flush of the range lows.
Tommy, you had a very eerie tweet about that. Would you care to read that out loud to the people?
I mean, I could probably just remember it off the top of my head. If they give you the chance to bid mid 80K on corn, don't, because I think you're gonna get probably destroyed if they let you do that. But that's just I don't think it'll look quite like the ETF range in last January. I think we're holding up above range lows currently. We got a really nice bounce on a sweep. If you were to retest range lows again, even go below the range, to me that would be more a sign of weakness rather than, hey, you're about to go run some liquidity and then bounce back up.
Yeah, we can only have so many deviations here. We definitely need to make a higher low out of this bounce from yesterday. I agree with that. I would say I've had some levels mapped out as a worst case scenario, obviously from like 80, I think it's like 82 to 85K, right? Pretty big FEG sitting there. Then you got the CME boys down at 77, 75K. CME gap's not getting filled, right? If the CME gap gets filled, this market cycle's over, right? So CME boys, you're not getting your fill, and if you do get your fill, you're gonna keep buying the dip because the dip's gonna keep dipping. 85 to 8, like 84, 85, 86, that level. I could see that as if we did lose this range, right, and we did puke lower, that was kind of where I was looking for relief and where I would see price come into, and that'd give you like a 25% pullback on Bitcoin, which is completely normal in a bull market. So I mean, before yesterday, I thought it was a possibility, right? Worst case scenario. But after seeing yesterday's price action, like yesterday's daily candle close, I think it sent a big message. Just a massive, doji candle to the downside, all wick, right? Buyer stepped in big yesterday on volume, just a massive reversal candle. And as long as we get a little bit of follow through today and we don't, deviate or lose that wick low, this should be our local low for Bitcoin, in my opinion. So I'm looking for higher. And I even told our Discord guys that, we've discussed, that level at 84, 85K as a possibility. I even said yesterday, like went out on whim saying, I think if we get follow through, going into the next couple of days, like that scenario is now off the table, right? Bitcoin told, yesterday's daily candle definitely, was giving me some signs and telling me a different story, that, a lot of people are waiting for those levels to get filled, and they're going to get left behind. That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to flip this mid-range and point of control immediately. But I could also see a world where we come down into here, even if we're going to move up.
That's what I think happens.
Like we could churn here a little bit. Oh no, it's over,
Yep.
and then we move up. And like, here's the 20th. Here's Big Daddy Trump coming into office. I don't know why they would like pump it super hard before. Like I hope they do, but I'm more or less okay with something like this. Even if it means I have to sit here and narrate bullshit for the next week, it'll be okay. I just like that they stepped in right where they needed to. This was a nice trap.
There seems to be some issue for some, I suppose, based on Leah's comment.
Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone here.
I know he misspelled that last word. Try to pronounce it.
We got 500 viewers. It's working on my phone. So
it looks like it's okay. Looks okay on my end, but maybe. I mean, I'd say we're usually more around on YouTube, like 550 these days. So maybe a little bit less, but yeah, seems to be okay.
We were pushing 700 something when we were, trading at 108K, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny how like directly correlated this business is to prices.
Yeah.
Like Bitcoin goes up, business goes up. Bitcoin goes down, business goes down,
Yeah.
When I say I need the price to go up, that's what I'm talking about. I need the price to go up.
They'll come back when we're at 100.
Do something.
Yeah, they'll come back at 120K and they'll be in the comments asking us what's good to buy now.
That's how it goes. And it's the same way too when you have like an on-chain call that is cooking multiples. It's like they will ignore it until you're 10 or 15x up and they're like, all right, I just bought in. And I'm like, brother, there's a decent chance I'm going to look to distribute pretty soon.
Yeah.
Not because they're buying, but because, it's up 10 to 15x. But that's only when they get interested. Is much higher after the call out because the FOMO, it's just, it's killer. But
I think Pepe looks pretty good here. I mean, I think it's going to be more a result of, ETH than anything. So like if we think ETH can pull back a little bit, then maybe. But I definitely see some similarities between like this bottom. It's like, how ETH likes to do the same kind of bottoming range. Pepe likes to do the same thing also. Where kind of like puts in a capitulation, bounces, fake breakout, V recovery, almost retests the lows, and then it goes. So, we'll see. I wouldn't expect something quite as long as this, but I could see, something like this, honestly.
Yeah.
I
agree.
We'll see. I think it might just take a little bit of time. Like, I mean, looking at going back to ETH here, it's like there is a really obvious level to hold now. Like we just all these guys, we need the liquidation buyers to hold. That's all that we need. So, if they can hold it here, we're looking good. Even if we came down here, if we can just get back above this yearly open, then I think that what we'll look back on is anybody that sold, down here is going to get cooked. So this is it's your mid-range and 2025 open. This is the biggest level. It's the only level that really matters.
Yeah.
But until we get back above there, I mean, it's pretty obvious that like this is some supply we're going to have to battle right here. This is a big, 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 big supply region, right? But if you flip that, I'm going to get pretty damn vocal pretty quickly. However we get above there, this is the level, right? 3,300 to 3,350. I don't know if you guys agree, but I think if you flip that level, whether it's today, whether it's next month,
I've
think
been
that
banging on the yearly open for like a week straight, probably right now, or not sure exactly for how long. But ever since we kind of lost it, that was a level to be reclaimed. I think the moment we reclaim it, I just do not see anything else to hold us down for a proper bull market. Like the moment that yearly open is reclaimed, it's really a bare death sentence. But until that, the price has something to show for. ETH has something to show for. It needs to show the strength, which it keeps failing to do so.
I think ETH, Sol, and Pepe, obviously, I'm sure you could find some other large cap coins that are probably fairly similar looking. They're all kind of printing this structure that it's kind of calling for a double bottom, right? It's pretty good confluence with Bitcoin holding the range. Bitcoin's going to hold the range. You're going to see Sol, ETH, Pepe put in a double bottom and probably trend at some point here over the next few weeks. But they got to hold the double bottom. And Sol and ETH did the thing that I really didn't want them to do, which is they puked to a new low. So I will also call out the yearly open here. I think that's contextually a very significant level and structurally very significant.
Yeah. What's the price for ETH on yearly open?
It's like 3,300, give or take.
Okay.
It's 3,333.
3333.
Now it's like
crazy.
Okay, so to be fair, it's 3,337. But just so it remembers better for you, it's 33333.
I like that. That equals 12.
I don't think that Sol looks too bad here. I mean, we had a big puke, but I think there's some significance to this little trend line here, that diagonal. I mean, I would say that there's a chance the bottom is in on this, but probably you're stuck under the open. You could maybe fill the wick a little bit more and then start trying to come up. But I don't know. I mean, I think the bottom's.
We hope the bottom is in.
Yeah, we do, because here's the thing is like if for example, like if Sol didn't bottom here, maybe we came here, another retest of the open. I feel like if you get back under here, then you open the door to, I don't even know, like down in here, which would be.
Let's not entertain it. It doesn't fit our bias.
I agree. Let's delete it. I think it's fine for now. I do. I do think it's fine. It's just you need to do something here.
I think we could still get that sell-off, that little lower time frame one to your must-hold level, possibly. I mean, that would be fucking scary again, but it still wouldn't break things. And just do it, man. I'm so tired, boss. But I think it's okay.
I'm going to go on a whim and say, yeah, we might see some rollover today, but I think yesterday's lows are in. Like, that was the lows.
I mean, if you start flipping yearly opens on things like Sol, ETH, then we're safe. You know, you can see the significance just looking at the Sol chart. You can see the significance of this open, right? I think on Sol, you'd ideally want to see like a market structure break to the up, like a big one up into here. So if it does this, you're gonna want to see this, and then you'll want to see that, right? But I think you want to just see you want to see us just rip these, the yearly open shorters a new one aggressively, and then all of this. You want all of this to end up being like mega demand, right? You want this to be like this all ends up being accumulation below the open, we get above it, retest it, we're off to the races, right? I think we will. I just, I'm unsure if we end up doing like a 3 drive kind of thing, like if we do, this 3rd drive, and then go up. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm gonna beat the drum again that I think the context of where we're seeing these large cap alts trade into demand makes sense with where Bitcoin is also trading. We swept the range lows. If you lose the range lows on Bitcoin, obviously you open the door for some not so nice scenarios for things like ETH, Sol, and Pepe. So yeah, I really think yesterday's low kind of needs to be the low. Or it looks a little bit more like weakness than, like I said, a really quick buyback, a great buyback off the lows, which is what we had yesterday. I mean, how much are we up from a percentage standpoint from the lows? Like 5-6%. Pretty nice move on Bitcoin for a day. And it's also Tuesday. I think that needs to be pointed out as well. This is either your favorite or least favorite day of the week. For those who are not here at the start of the show, Tuesday, guys, on Monday, we usually get a big move. And on Tuesday, we revert it. A lot of that is options driven. It doesn't matter what direction we went on Monday. We will almost always revert the move on Tuesday. So I think the rest of the week will hopefully provide us with a lot more clarity. I think for things like, obviously ETH, Sol, Pepe, I'm going to keep using those as the examples. Chop is bullish, right? Chop is bullish. Grind higher is bullish. The only thing you don't want to see is kind of this continued visits toward their lows.
Yeah. Looking at others here, I mean, it's not a coincidence that we had this trend line holding us back for so long. And then we just put in look at where the bottom happened, right? So this chart, like your basket of altcoins is giving me some degree of confidence that even if we did come back down, like we really shouldn't go too much lower, probably be more like a shallow. Then we get the, the inverse head and shoulder boys coming out like this. But yeah, man, we need to do this up, down, send time,
So it reminds me of the what was it, the S&P fractal?
I'm not liking it. I'll be honest.
Can you show me what you're looking at, Jackus?
Which chart you had on before? Was it others?
Yeah. I don't think it looks bad. It just looks a little stuck.
Wait. We are 40 minutes in. We had a good bounce, right? We need to do some maintenance here. Let me know, guys. Are we good?
We're good.
We're good. Okay. Are we, Tommy?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I know you're lying, but
Horrible liar, Tommy.
You're like, we cannot tell him the truth. He would rage quit and didn't appear for the next week. Anyways.
All right, so what are we looking at? Others?
So I think, generally speaking, I still think this whole cycle is far good, right? We are clearly in a bull market, and lots of bears, they will keep telling you like, it's over, it's over, it's over, it's over, it's over. This is what they will keep on doing. So like those people are stupid. It's clearly not that case. Like we are quite clearly, moving higher. This is quite clearly a big range. And I still do think that this range breaks to the upside sometimes in 2025. Locally, though, we came to this range highs And I still have to keep in mind what happened when ETH approached this level, which is 4K, right? The equivalent of it. Now, I'm not much liking like this sort of breakdown. Sorry. I still think that kind of leads us to drop a little lower. Not exactly sure what that level is, strictly looking, and I would hate to see it, but I'm looking at this level, and I absolutely hate it. But that's kind of what the chart is telling me, and I do not even think that this really changes much. Even if we were to go like here, I still think that we will get some type of this move. Not sure if it's from here or whether we are getting this type, but I still think some type like that is coming. Yeah. I'm not just liking, again, I do not even think it's going to be much crypto related, to be honest. What I just need to see happening is DXY rolling over here.
So, Jack, you see this comment from Dorito?
I know.
If others goes down, I mean, I know that ETH is not in others, but
no, it's absolute. I know what I'm like. I know it's a listen. Clap Dorito, because you understood that well, and I know what I'm saying, and I'm not liking it. Like, I want. Listen, this is what I want. This is what I want. But like here, right? Like, you tend to learn that, like, you're pretty much somewhere around here, and these internal moves here, I do not think this really changes much, because the range really here is more like this, if anything. So this is just a range structural reclaim, yes, but that doesn't really mean much. You are facing this one, right? So I do hope. I think where I'm really bullish on the market here, again, I do need to see ETH reclaiming yearly open. I think if ETH reclaims yearly open, kind of hard to see like what certain alts would do, right? I think it would come to certain alts, but I think if ETH reclaims yearly open, I think ETH is safe to a big degree. I just find it hard. I know what this would imply, and I'm not liking that myself. I'll be honest.
Only thing I would say is that we are kind of sitting right on top of support, and looking at some daily candles, it looks as if that we are trying to hold it. And the move that we saw from that little green box that Jackus has there to basically the old all-time high, that was a pretty thin move, right? That happened pretty quickly, without any significant pullback. So to see a rejection off the first attempt after a move from there, it makes sense, right? I mean, in a perfect world, you just continue, you blast through it. But I mean, if you've been in charting or trading or whatever, these things, like if you make a move from like a range low to a range high on like a pretty much straight up move, like your chances of breaking that range high resistance on the first attempt are extremely low, right? They're extremely low. And a lot of times you run into that resistance, you see some sell pressure, you see some pullback. You want to see price trade back into the next local resistance, which is that little high to the left there. And I think we're sitting pretty well on top of that. So the only thing I would say, or I'm looking at it slightly different, is that we rejected off basically the old all-time high, which is the biggest level on the chart. We came back into local support or a local level that we got back above. And you can see those two daily, candles to the downside. One we did yesterday, one we did a couple days ago. And it looks as if that level is being defended right now, at least here locally. So I wouldn't count it out just yet from bouncing from this level. But that's just the way I'm looking at it. And that's what's great about BB and this show is that you're going to get different views and takes on these things.
Well, this is where I think it's useful context to just be using Bitcoin's range low, right? Because we did bounce on Bitcoin from levels on ETH and Sol that would warrant potentially forming double bottoms. Of course, if Bitcoin loses the range low, then obviously you talk about drilling a little bit deeper on other majors. But I think it's a pretty simplistic framework to just be able to look at Bitcoin in this case, because I think you can. Where is Bitcoin trading from a structural standpoint? Where was it trading yesterday? And obviously where were ETH and Sol trading at the same time?
What's crazy is how differently others and ETH traded down here. Well, not like entirely differently, but others were for sure very, very weak compared to ETH. Actually, if you think about it, ETH was really strong down here. This was FTX, and ETH didn't really make new lows. Well, BTC has, right? But that's kind of been the problem whole cycle, where ETH has done well on not being so weak on the downside, but did absolutely nothing when the market was supposed to go up.
Yeah, I think the reason that it bottomed sooner than Bitcoin is just that the chaos or like damage was so much worse at the time, right? I mean, there was just so much rehypothecation on chain, Ponzification on chain. That will always happen in a market cycle for ETH, but obviously during 2021 it got very extreme. So when you had that huge cascade on ETH, I remember with a lot of DeFi coins too, not just true for 2022, but also in May of 2021. It's the leverage within DeFi that always causes a little bit more volatility on ETH typically. So I think that's why you saw it bottom before Bitcoin. Probably had more embedded leverage on chain, got flushed out. There wasn't nearly as much to flush for the FTX capitulation as there probably was for Bitcoin. And even for Bitcoin, I mean, the drop wasn't that extreme. I would imagine FTX really didn't have many coins left to sell at that point. So, you know, it was more of like a reactionary dump down liquidation event than actually like FTX being forced to capitulate. But it is still interesting that ETH didn't make a new low. I remember that.
Yeah. Max, are you here? I know that you muted yourself. Just would love to know what you think of this when you're back. But it's okay.
He might be getting a cup of stimmy.
Probably. And he's like, sure. Now that I mute myself, he speaks to me. Like, sure. Because I know that I'll be saying this again because he comes back and he's like, what did you say? Can you show me again?
I think for me, Jackus, when I'm looking at ETH strength, I'm looking at how are the Ponzi's on ETH looking right now? Because those were, I will always say this, when you see DeFi outperformance relative to ETH, you're typically seeing ETH outperform the market. So, you know, I'm going to go back to old charts we were looking at over the summer, like a Pendle, an ENA. You know, did those charts make new highs? ENA did. ENA had a great run off the low. Pendle looks like almost exactly like ETH.
He's
right
back.
Now.
Max, I want to know what you think of this, but I think this cycle has been, well, first of all, right, I think others kind of like came to the level which is equivalent of ETH coming to 4K, and I think others are sort of like maybe here. I don't think it's exactly the same. I'm not saying that like all of this follows, right? But I think they kind of are at like, you know, this run up into here, and then we are sort of somewhere, right? Like you could say anywhere. Oh shit. Anywhere in here. Yeah. I think that, and second, I think that this cycle is very different, and I think everyone can agree with this, that this cycle is very different to all prior ones. And I think what could we be getting, right, is that each time we sort of get like this move, and then we get this like semi-bear market, right? It's not really a bear market. It's more like a prolonged pullback, and then you get this bull market and then this bear market, right? And looking at this chart, we know it's not a bear market, but it's sort of like a prolonged sell-off. And I could see us doing this over and over again, where like we get this lag, right? So it's like you get this lag, you get this lag, you get this lag, right? And I think that what we could get is where we get this this pullback here, this like mini bear market, and then now we will be in this mini bear market, and then there is another lag, and then there is going to be another mini bear market, and then another lag. Like, what do you guys think of this? Do you think that might be the new paradigm here, or do you think that like? And I know what we would want, right? I know we would like this go vertical like in prior cycles and then dump on retail and hey, I did my part. Now it's up to you for the next cycles, guys. But in reality, oh shit, when it happened. What do you guys think of this? Do you think we could be in this new paradigm where like we are in this like we could call it even a super cycle maybe, where it like keeps going up over the years, and then we get these mini bear markets in between, and we are perpetual. So like this way, everyone keeps calling for the cycle top, and it never really. It sort of like comes, but then it doesn't, and then everyone is still looking like I gotta sell this cycle top, right? Everyone's so focused on this, and it's like this is it, and then it isn't. But it's not, at the same time, it's not like this crazy alt season we were used to seeing, right? Where like everything just sort of goes up insanely in a straight line. What do you guys think of it?
I don't really expect that to happen. I think if we were going to enter a new paradigm where we see something like that, it would be more off the back of like legacy integration and passive flows where.
But are we getting that?
With Bitcoin and ETH, but I think that altcoins like shit coins are always going to bubble. So if you're talking to me about Bitcoin, possibly. If you're talking to me about altcoins, I think it's too early for something like that. I think for that to happen, we would probably see a crazy markup and then just like a refusal to break down into a minus 90% bear market. And then we would enter that new regime. But I think it's probably too early for that. I'm not really...
Aren't we getting the ETH ETF, and we know that XRP and Solana ETFs are coming, and then it's likely going to be like a top 10 ETF, and crypto Nasdaq 100 ETF, and SPX crypto 500 ETF.
Well, I think what needs to be considered is like for a lot of the stuff that's in others to run, they just run when ETH starts cooking, right? So what you're trading with this chart is just leveraged ETH.
That's true.
Generally. So I think it's...
But ETH has that ETF.
It does. So I think it's too early to call it. Like, I think we need to get through like the next 6 months and see how ETH performs now with, seasonal tailwinds and Bitcoin and price discovery in the year following a Bitcoin halving. We need to see if ETH can catch a move like we're all cautiously optimistic that it will, ripping in price discovery, or at least getting into price discovery. And then I think we can maybe reevaluate and say, all right, now that ETH is more institutionalized, how do altcoins that are basically paired and traded against ETH, how do they behave? So, I mean, long term, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have what you're drawing here. But I also am not a believer that altcoins won't bubble. I think it's possible that Bitcoin won't necessarily bubble like it has in the past, or ETH won't bubble like it has in the past. But I feel like the type of scenario you're talking about, it's early to like. I just think we need to give ETH a chance first.
I agree, Max, that it's early, right? But that's kind of what we need to do, because you want to be ahead of the market, right? Like the moment it becomes confirmed, that at that point it's kind of like too late. Like everyone will be sort of expecting this. So you like want to have it sort of established to some degree, like this narrative, which I think we do. But at the same time, you kind of exactly, you need to be at this spot. Like, yeah, like it could be, but we don't really know. And I agree with you, right? Like it's a bet at the end of the day. But I'm thinking with what you said, what this chart up here is, which is the others. It's, as you said, leveraged ETH beta, and ETH is institutionalized. Like nobody can convince me otherwise that institutions are not accumulating ETH this entire range. And so if others are following, as you said, ETH, doesn't that make, ETH sort of like slow bleed this, and then others would follow, and then when there's that ETH upside, others would follow. But then when there would be some pullback, let's say like, hey, we get this sort of type of breakout at some point, maybe from here, hopefully it is from here, but let's say it isn't, right? And you still like, maybe it's not like, hey, it's over, but maybe, we would get this, would be frustrating, and then bears would be like, hey, bye to your bull market, and everyone would believe, and then we get this sort of type of breakout. This is like your this is like your BTC breaking the March highs, going to 100K, and then everyone's ecstatic, and instead of that bull season that we want, we would sort of get like this again. And then there is this like, I'm just trying to think loud, but sort of like, this is what came across my mind now that we were discussing things.
What do I
And
always say is max pain?
Max pain. This is kind
Max
of like
pain is a longer cycle that keeps you here for much
Indeed.
longer than you wanted to be.
Indeed.
But you're right? Like people are correct to view it as the super cycle, but I think where we could look back on and be wrong is that people want super cycle returns within the confines of a traditional Bitcoin and crypto cycle, when this probably will not be one. There are definitely some parallels. There have been some differences, but if we want a super cycle per se, rather than just another Bitcoin cycle, it's going to take time. And I don't know if it's going to play out quite like you've drawn, Jackus. I will say I've seen some on-chain tickers that form structure kind of in line with what you were just kind of drawing out. But I do think it can take time. And that to achieve that longer cycle, to achieve super cycle style gains, it could take time. But ultimately, I do believe everybody who has been here and stays here will be rewarded for the time spent in the market. And I don't know if I think that, we won't see the parabolic style market within altcoins again. I think that might just be tethered to liquidity and kind of other macro proxies, right? Like we haven't seen the dollar roll over for pretty much the entirety of this bull market. I'm sure it was in a downtrend kind of towards the end of 2022 still, but we haven't seen the dollar roll over at this part of the cycle yet, which just signals to me it probably is a super cycle from a time standpoint. We'll just see what the price action kind of looks like in between. I think some of that you'll probably see stimulus come into play, will be beneficial towards altcoins. We've had periods of not explicitly stimulus, but things that obviously provided liquidity to the market, and altcoins did very well during that period. So it's just kind of going to be a little bit push-pull until we get a big liquidity injection, or you have some sort of catalyst that really causes Bitcoin and crypto to break out against monetary supply. I actually don't think that those two things are mutually exclusive, though.
Good points. Yeah, like listen, right? I'm not like saying that this, what I just draw, happens. It's just that I'm trying to see things early, and I'm just thinking out loud, basically. But I could see that happening. And if this new administration, it's going to be a longer regulatory conditions coming in, and what they will bring is they will bring in the passive bid, likely, which you have for lots of stock indexes, right? Like people mostly nowadays are the passive investors who just buy the index, and then generally, the capital flows into all of those basically. And that's kind of what I think the whole crypto space wants. They, lots of these projects, they want that, SPX 100 or like Nasdaq 100, 100 crypto coins, and then they want those SPX 500 index, where you have the 500 biggest altcoins, and these projects can count on this passive bit coming in, which is going to go. And I think this administration could bring that in. I don't know. Again, just thinking out loud, but
you have to consider how far as an asset class we've come. I know we want to benefit, or we want to rather benchmark this cycle's returns against previous cycles. And I do think, I've been openly stating in the past, I don't think that diminishing returns are going to be a thing this cycle. But you also have to, this is where I think the time does come into play, because compare Bitcoin to the top companies in the world. I hate when people do this, but I'm going to do it right now. We're really not that far off from the top 5. And obviously the number 1 asset in the world by market capitalization is gold. That is ultimately the target, in my opinion, for the super cycle. But if Bitcoin is currently trading fairly close to some of the largest companies in the world, from a time standpoint, that might take a little bit of digestion rather than just heading straight up to the gold market cap. Maybe I'm wrong on that. We just go straight up there, but that's I think it could cause some churn within the market from a timing standpoint. It doesn't even mean that price goes, that we have another 6 to 7 month range like we did 2024. God forbid that ever happens again. But no, I think time plays a big role in this cycle, and keeping people here for a very long time with the right thesis is probably max pain, because they have to be patient. They have to wait to see the thesis play out. And in the meantime, there's all of these carrots kind of being dangled right in front of your face. Like, hey, this is this meta that will be dead in 2 weeks is the next best thing. You'll either increase your Bitcoin holdings, you'll make it, et cetera, et cetera. And we're just kind of leaving a ton of bodies on the road already within this cycle. So yeah, I would just say it could take time, and don't lose sight of the forest through the trees.
Indeed. I was just kidding this whole time, guys. We are going straight up, no pullbacks. So I just wanted to make that clear and calm everyone down. This was just a big troll from me.
I don't know if you're joking or not.
That's the point.
I don't think we're gonna. There's nothing that's happened this cycle that is any different than any other cycle. Even like the timing of ETH. Like I know it's so easy to pick on ETH here and just be like, oh, like ETH should be well above where it is right now, and that's actually not the case at all. I think Bitcoin kind of giving like a fake all-time high breakout back in March got everyone, myself included, on the train of an expedited cycle. But I think if anything, we're probably just we've seen months and months and months of time-based mean reversion that has forced us to be patient and just like hold on to our bags and positions longer than we initially thought. But ETH typically doesn't go into price discovery until, one, Bitcoin's truly in price discovery. And really, like when Bitcoin comes out of its first high time frame correction, when it's actually in price discovery is really when ETH starts to go. So I think the next move on Bitcoin will be revealing. Like when Bitcoin, in my opinion, it's an inevitability that Bitcoin gets back above its current all-time high this quarter. I think it will be very, very revealing, Yeah, the next move will be telling.
Did I hear that right?
But unironically, for ETH, this is historically, this move is the one for ETH, where like if Bitcoin goes to 130K and ETH is still stuck under 4K, we got problems. Okay. We got big problems, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So, I mean, if you look at the timing of it, right? Like if you were to put up Bitcoin on the top and ETH down below, when ETH starts ripping, it should be like this phase of the cycle. Like it should be right now. So, I can't make excuses for ETH any longer, right?
None of us can.
No.
It needs to show for itself.
What do you guys think about this?
I mean, that's a look at the timing of the last Solana stimmy. It's I mean, it's just a liquidity injection, right?
How big was the last one? Was it?
I don't know.
Wasn't it around 700 million also? Did that come before or after the whole whiff stuff? I want to say it happened during. I can't remember at
Probably
what
either
price
before or
it
during. Yeah.
happened. 400 mil for whiff. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I remember talking about how it would catalyze a big move on whiff, and then it did.
Well, this is how it goes timing-wise, if we count the bottom on others. So we should be somewhere around here.
The airdrop was 400 million last time, so it's actually almost twice as big. That's nice. I'm sure Dorito's getting a fat airdrop from Jupiter. What were you saying,
Yeah.
Jackus?
That time-wise, we are literally right here.
That's what I mean, where I'm like, it's now. Like I've made excuses for ETH in the past. I've made plenty of them. But this is it. And I think it can just take until Bitcoin's back in price discovery. But like historically, what do we see? We see ETH bottom, at the very tail end of Q4 in a Bitcoin halving year, which it still has been the case so far. ETH BTC has technically not made a new low this year. Unless it did today, I haven't checked. And what we should start to see is Q1 through Q2, we should start to see, something pretty awesome. And if we don't, then this cycle is different. But as of right now, it's not different. So it's like, I've been in this cycle for 3 years now, trading, accumulating, holding, positioning. And up until this point, it hasn't been different. So I'm going to just continue to operate on the basis that this time is not different and that we are going to get a major altcoin bubble. And I think this was probably one of the final shakeouts before that happens. So
notice how different DXY was in the 2017 cycle versus the prior one. Like in the prior one, we've basically been bottomed. Yeah, we've been kind of ranging.
Yeah.
But before the last one, versus in the 2017 one, DXY was going up the entire of a bull market. And
funny enough, that was when Trump got into office right there.
Yeah, which still begs on the thing that I began today, where I still say that we do need to see DXY dropping lower. I think we do need to see this, and I think we will. The question is it straight from here, or do we go a little higher? I'm just like having a hard time seeing this like perpetually go up. For sure, that would be max pain for me.
I really think the dollar's close. Like you might get a stab into 111, maybe even an overextension into 112, but we're seeing the blow off leg on the dollar right now.
Yes.
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 I think we got a couple super chats. Should we rip those right now?
Yes, we should.
All right. First one from Amelia. Can't believe Jack has turned into a bear, plus ditched his thesis that institutions will defend 60 to 70K from being reached again, because that will be the case if we think total market cap going to go all the way back down.
No, I don't think so. By the way, Emilio is trolling. He is a BB member.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
But no, I'm like a huge bear now, basically. You wouldn't get it.
Guys, I can see Jackus's portfolio within BB Wealth Management. If he was bearish, I would know. He's not actually bearish, I promise you.
I think
All I see is a massive inverse head and shoulders here.
Massive head and shoulders? You mean these ones? The inverted one?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, the thing is, right, that even if this were to come, and I hope it doesn't, then this doesn't change anything from the bull market. That's like from the bigger one, right?
Let me walk you through kind of how I view this, Jack. Okay, so stay right there. So see the bottom bear market range that we had? Yeah, we didn't come back to perfectly retest that range on the recent drop.
Here. Yeah.
I don't think we're going to come back and retest the
We
recent
did come
accumulation.
back to this one, which would equal to this one, though. I know that you are seeing it.
Yeah, no, I see that, but I also don't know if I would even draw that as the beginning of the bottom accumulation range, because look at how much further down we bled. You know, like I would.
Well, this one is definitely, like, if you think about it, right? This one is definitely bigger than this one, because, like, what, you know, like this one is definitely bigger than this one.
Yeah.
Man, just pump it back above this level and make ETH go above yearly open. Do it. Make it. I really think that if what I would hate is if they do this, right?
Oh.
That would fucking suck. Just
yeah, that would be.
Just do this, man. Do it. Send this V-shape recovery. Send it here, right? Then do your thing, and I think we're ready to go.
XRP breaking out. Yeah, what I would say is this. I think what Jackus was showing before with others is going to become the reality as time goes on, for sure. As crypto, because crypto's not going anywhere, right? But and he touched on this, which I think is the biggest factor that we should be paying attention to is the regulatory clarity and the regulatory, whatever it's going to be, regulatory body, regulatory rules for crypto, right? They have to eventually either put like the SEC in charge, CFTC in charge, or they just create a whole new government entity or regulatory entity that, you know, that sets the rules of the road for crypto. And eventually the wall gets put up, right? Where and this kind of backs a thesis, which is that, you know, I kind of think this is probably the last like free for all altcoin mania that we see. And I say that because they haven't put any regulatory rules against, you know, people launching altcoins and, you know, a lot of the crime and stuff going on, right? And we're too, in my opinion, we're too far into the cycle for them to stop, this moving bus, which is the crypto market. So I'm of the belief that this is probably the last, and that's why I think this, the last 2 years and now the next 6 months is the most important time to be paying attention and locked in, because I don't think we're going to get another environment like this, which would probably be, an altcoin mania type environment. Because once this happens, once that does happen, right, if it does, right, and once they put the rules of the road into place, like, it's not going to be easy for people to just launch cryptos and be in the crypto industry anymore, right? That curtain's going to come down, and it's going to be extremely hard, just to launch. It's going to be similar to like an ICOing a stock, like the amount of work and regulatory stuff and processes you have to go through for that to happen. It's going to be similar for crypto, and those rules aren't in place yet. I think probably towards the end of this cycle or within this, the Trump's presidency, this time around, I think by the time he's on his way out, that will be in place. But until then, I think we're going to continue to see what we've seen in previous cycles. But I do think it's probably one of the last ones we see, which is that mania type fashion, right? Just altcoins going straight up for a year straight. And eventually, coming out of that, once the regulatory stuff is in place, then you just kind of see crypto mature as an asset class. And it kind of just has, peaks and valleys, not as, high of peaks and not as low of valleys. And you kind of just chug along, with pullbacks in between, similar to how stocks trade. So that's kind of my view on it. So I'm still pretty optimistic that we see one more mania type altcoin event before we kind of morph and graduate into more of a mature asset class. So I think this is probably one of the last one.
I'm very torn on that, honestly.
Yeah.
I've kind of gone back and forth. Like, after this cycle, do I think Bitcoin dominance bleeds to zero, or do I think Bitcoin dominance goes to 100% over time, right? Like, what does that look like? I think it ultimately comes down to, are you optimistic in the potential of the technology? I know that's kind of funny to say after the cycle that we're in, but you have to be optimistic that the technology, blockchain, crypto, will continue improving despite a perpetual bid on something like Bitcoin and probably a few other coins as well, in addition to those. And then I think the other side of it is, if you expect Bitcoin dominance to just go to 100%, you're probably pretty pessimistic about crypto as a whole. Not to say that there won't still be places where you can outperform in altcoins, but saying that you think Bitcoin dominance is going to 100% slowly over time is inherently bearish for altcoins, unless you just expect the bid on Bitcoin to just perpetually be that much larger forever. With, maybe, but I don't know that I can pick a side between those two right now. Although I do think that, altcoins are just going to continue to be inherently tied to liquidity, and majors now have a little bit more of a backstop. Not to say that I don't, I think diminishing drawdowns as well as diminishing returns are both a meme. But I do think you'll probably see these, like, the parabolic cycles and bubbles that we've seen in altcoins in the past will probably more just be an altcoin thing going forward, and majors have perpetual steady grind higher over a higher time frame.
And on that note, Tommy, it's the end of another market check.
It is. Let me talk to you guys for just a minute. Let me share my screen here. I already had it pulled up for you all, of course. But yeah, we have hope that you guys enjoyed the show today. We went on about a lot of, I think, really important topics throughout the stream. We covered a lot. So if you guys could hit the like button before I give my spiel or after, we would be very, very appreciative of it. But if you heard anything today that you liked, you want to hear about more in depth, you do have the opportunity to join the family, guys. And the first way that which you can do so is through the BB terminal, right? If you are looking for your go-to tool for this cycle, whether or not you are an active trader trading lower time frames, derivatives, something that I really love to do, whether or not you are a DCA, long-term based investor, we have the tool for you. And of course, whether or not you are an on-chain trader, you love to be in meme coins, AI agents now as well, we will soon have the tool for you as well. So make sure to check out the BB terminal, guys. It is a best-in-class product, and we continue to work to make it as effective and productive as it possibly can. So make sure to take advantage of it now at these prices, because as we always say, as the price of the market goes higher, so do the prices of our products. Of course, we were nice enough to bundle this together with our premium Discord, guys. So like I said, if you heard anything today that you liked, you want to hear more of, we provide constant commentary in that Discord through some of our premium channels. Obviously, it's not a signal group, but we do give you our real-time thoughts on the market. And of course, sometimes the positioning that we take, but we also give you guys 4 to 5 hours every single day of Discord streams. So you get to hear our intimate thoughts on the market as things happen, both before and after the New York close. So take advantage of that as well. Of course, guys, if you are looking to hone your educational base or even reach trading level mastery, come join the BB Academy as well, guys. That is our educational course, and you get to learn from the entire Because Bitcoin team. So it's very different from any other course that I'm sure you've maybe tested or even seen before. A lot of different trading styles and a lot of different forms of alpha and ways to conquer this market. So check that out as well. But yeah, market conditions as well have been, they've been interesting. A lot of downside volatility. Picking winners can be difficult as well. So if you're interested in potentially having the team manage money for you, come join BB Wealth Management, guys. That is an SEC registered hedge fund where the team can trade your money, can manage your money, but we are always focused on the asymmetric history of upside returns that crypto provides, while also balancing the downside risk posed in any financial market. So just like everything else that I just mentioned, make sure to check that out in the description below this video. Reach out to us if you have any questions. We'll do our best to get back to you as quickly as we can. But yeah, that's it for the show today, guys. We hope that you enjoyed all the alpha that we spit today. We will be spitting more tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's our typical start time for Market Check. Of course, don't forget about Market Talk, hosted by King Wabi. That is through our Because Bitcoin X account, as well as his personal X account. So make sure to stay following and subscribed so you can be notified, not just when he scheduled those spaces, but also when he goes live. And a reminder that is live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. But thanks again, guys, as always, for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow morning. But until then, thank you as always. And of course, stay safe.